Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Savannah, and if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you like it. In today's video, we are going to resume our study in the book of Ecclesiastes. This will be part 3 of our Bible study series, and I'll link parts 1 and 2 in the description in case you missed them. Just a heads up, we're going to cover a lot of material today, but hang in there with me because these sections will bring up some very relevant topics that I think we all need to hear. So far, we've been introduced to Solomon's journey to find the meaning of life under the sun, or in other words, apart from God. And in last week's video, we discussed his opening statements and conclusions about his journey. And this week, we are going to look at a few experiments Solomon underwent in his search. With that said, let's jump right into where we left off in chapter 1, verse 12. I, the preacher, have been king over Israel in Jerusalem, and I applied my heart to seek and to search out by wisdom all that is done under heaven. It is an unhappy business that God has given to the children of man to be busy with. I have seen everything that is done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity, and is striving after wind. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted. Here, we see the first experiment in his journey. He attempts to find the meaning of life in wisdom. But I want to make it clear, he's referring to a worldly wisdom, not wisdom from an eternal perspective. The kind of wisdom he's talking about can lead you to have a happier, healthier, and wealthier life, but it won't lead you to find any true meaning. Continuing in verse 16, I said in my heart, I have acquired great wisdom, surpassing all who were over Jerusalem before me, and my heart has had great experience of wisdom and knowledge, and I applied my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceived that this also is but a striving after wind. For in much wisdom is much vexation, and he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. As Solomon is closing out his investigation to find life's meaning by wisdom, his conclusion is, it's vanity. But why? Well, in verse 18, he tells us why. The more he understood life under the sun, the more depressed he was. In chapter 2, Solomon is going to begin yet another experiment to find meaning and satisfaction in life under the sun. Starting in verse 1, I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with pleasure. Enjoy yourself. But behold, this also was vanity. I said of laughter, it is mad, and of pleasure, what use is it? I searched with my heart how to cheer my body with wine, my heart still guiding me with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly till I might see what was good for the children of man to do under heaven during the few days of their life. This time, Solomon tried to find life's meaning in pleasure. So he tested his theory with partying, laughter, and wine. And he says it's vanity. It's empty. This is a very popular way to live today. Many people try to give their life meaning by living like a hedonist. And even though few will openly admit it, I think the person who has been in this lifestyle for a while, if they were to take a serious look in the mirror and ask themselves, what am I doing with my life? They would come to the same conclusions of King Solomon. It's monotonous. It's empty. What's the point? How is this giving meaning to my life? And he describes the search further in verse 4. I made my works great. I built myself houses and planted myself vineyards. I made myself gardens and orchards, and I planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made myself water pools from which to water the growing trees of the grove. I acquired male and female servants, and had servants born in my house. Yes, I had greater possessions of herds and flocks than all who were in Jerusalem before me. I also gathered for myself silver and gold and the special treasures of kings and of the provinces. I acquired male and female singers, the delights of the sons of men, and musical instruments of all kinds. So he continues his search for meaning through pleasure, but he takes a different route this time. It's almost like he's grown out of the party stage, realizing there's no real profit, and now he's searching for meaning in the satisfaction of his works and accomplishments. He fills his schedule with projects. He plans them, organizes them, and completes them. He built houses, vineyards, gardens, and his possessions were greater than anyone in all the land. So what's his conclusion? Well, he begins his analysis in verse 9. So I became great and surpassed all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me. And whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure, for my heart found pleasure in all my toil, and this was my reward for all my toil. Then I considered all that my hands had done and the toil I had expended in doing it, and behold, all was vanity and a striving after wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun. Solomon acknowledges that his accomplishments brought him greatness and fame, and that he did obtain pleasure from his hard work. But he says that that momentary pleasure was his only reward. Then he considers everything: the pleasure, accomplishments, fame, wealth, and he says it's vanity. It's meaningless. Now, I know some people might doubt this and think, well, I would surely find meaning in those things. Why can't Solomon? And he's going to tell us why in the next section. Verse 12. So I turned to consider wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do who comes after the king? Only what has already been done. Then I saw that there is more gain in wisdom than in folly, as there is more gain in light than in darkness. The wise person has his eyes in his head, but the fool walks in darkness. And yet I perceived that the same event happens to all of them. Then I said in my heart, what happens to the fool will happen to me also. Why then have I been so very wise? And I said in my heart that this also is vanity. For of the wise as of the fool there is no enduring remembrance, seeing that in the days to come all will have been long forgotten. How the wise dies just like the fool. So I hated life, because what is done under the sun was grievous to me, for all is vanity and is striving after the wind. Solomon recognizes that whether you're a fool or the wisest person on earth, the same event happens. You die. And in an under-the-sun kind of a world where you die and that's it, I would agree. Wise living is vanity. Whatever you accomplished, all your possessions, your car, your house, your savings account, you can't take any of it with you. And to put it plainly, it all means nothing when you die. Now I know some people are thinking, I can leave it to my children, and it will mean something then. Well, Solomon is going to consider that in this next section. Verse 18. I hated all my toil in which I toil under the sun, seeing that I must leave it to the man who will come after me. And who knows whether he will be wise or a fool? Yet he will be master of all for which I toiled and used my wisdom under the sun. This also is vanity. So I turned about and gave my heart up to despair over all the toil of my labors under the sun. Because sometimes a person who has toiled with wisdom and knowledge and skill must leave everything to be enjoyed by someone who did not toil for it. This also is vanity and a great evil. What has a man from all the toil and striving of heart with which he toils beneath the sun? For all his days are full of sorrow, and his work is a vexation. Even in the night his heart does not rest. This also is vanity. And there you have it. Solomon can't find meaning in leaving behind all he's worked for to another, because who knows whether that person will be responsible with it. Will they plunder everything you've worked for? Are you leaving all of your material wealth to a fool? Who knows? And this is why he can't find true satisfaction in this idea. Therefore, he says it's vanity. It's meaningless. And in these last few sentences of chapter 2, Solomon is going to leave us with some practical wisdom on how we should live life under the sun. Verse 24, there is nothing better for a person than that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. This also, I saw, is from the hand of God. For apart from him, who can eat or who can have enjoyment? For to the one who pleases him, God has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner he has given the business of gathering and collecting only to give to the one who pleases God. This also is vanity and a striving after wind. It looks like Solomon is giving us advice on how to make a bad situation better. It's all meaningless, but we might as well enjoy the good things in life. Also, he says that these good things are from the hand of God. He acknowledges that there is a God, but in his under-the-sun world, this God doesn't really matter. Sure, he exists and can give us nice things and blessings, but when it comes to being accountable to God, well, that just doesn't exist in Solomon's under-the-sun premise. Remember, he's searching for the meaning of life apart from God. And so far, he's come up empty. The big takeaway of these sections is, if you're not living your life for eternal meaning, which can only come from God, then your life has no meaning. But when you live your life under the rule and authority of the one who gave you life, everything changes, and suddenly, your life is no longer meaningless. Well, that's all I have for today's video. I thank y'all so much for watching. I will see y'all in my next video. And as always, don't forget to thank God for waking up this morning.